All right, guys, welcome back to the November tournament game. And as you might be able to tell from the map, things are not going great. Now, it's been a few days since I cast, and mainly because my concentration was deeply involved in this game. So let me just tell you what happened. First of all, they broke through in France here. That was not great. They broke through in southern Italy. That was also not great. And they were threatening to break through against me up here, but I was holding them off. But it wasn't looking great. And then we were making an offensive push up here into Russia. But again, it wasn't looking promising. We knew they had enough artillery up there to defend. We were moving in with 2 artillery and a lot of infantry. We could have made some headway up here, but the fact was, at a certain point, the score turned against us, and it was pretty obvious that France was going to collapse and Italy was going to collapse, and it would only be a matter of time. Maybe I could hold off for the time being, but really only because they weren't bringing a lot to bear against me. And so I knew eventually I would fall as well. So we reached out to the Cavalieros and we asked if we could sue for peace. And in this game, they don't have to. So they could continue to steamroll us and take a bunch of points. And we kind of appealed to their honor. They are Brazilian, so they have that Latin honor going pretty strong. And the first thing that happened was Andre, the leader, said, "Okay, we'll give you mercy." And then he a little bit later, he's like, "Hold on, my teammates are saying that this is tied to the score," and it's true. If you win all 3 of your first round games, then you don't have to worry about the score. But if you lose one of them, if for instance 2 teams both get 2 games each or something, the top 2 teams, then the score does decide. So they were correct about that. So then he said, "Okay, well, let us take your capitals, and we can call it peace." And I said, "Okay, but if you only take our capitals," right? So that's a huge advantage to them, because when each time they take one of our capitals, whoever takes it gets a huge morale boost, and that also goes to points, right? We lose a bunch of points, and then it goes to points for them. Then after we have no capital, our morale plummets, so we begin to lose points at a drastic rate. So I was really invested in him taking our capitals, and nothing else. So what happened, first of all, which was pretty tragic, was it's pretty evident here. This was Morocco. Morocco went ahead and just took all the rest of Italy, and in fact, they were bombing in with cruisers and artillery here 13, 14, 15 hours after the peace accord had been signed. So pretty shitty behavior from parts of the Caballeros. We reached out to them repeatedly in chat, just said, "Hey, what's going on?" And Andre got back and he said, "I think those are just commands they'd been given." Unfortunately, for whatever reason, at that exact same time, I had just reached out to I believe it was Morocco. Reached out to him and he answered back, "Sorry." I said, "Hey, ceasefire started hours ago," and he said, "Sorry." So the fact is, I knew for a fact he was live in the game at that moment because he had replied back to me. So really just kind of lies coming from them as they just sort of took over all of these territories after the ceasefire. So in direct contradiction to what was laid out to be true. They were supposed to take Rome and nothing more. So that's pretty hardcore. That's pretty hard. That's straight up going back on your word. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now over here, they did just take Paris, right? Didn't take anything else. So good for them. Over here, just straight down into Berlin, and coming down to fortify here, I guess, in case we decide to try something sassy, which we're not, but we're starting to think like, what did we get into here? Because, when at day change, we lost over 100 over 100 victory points because we had 2 capitals down. And of course, Morocco kept on breaking the treaty. And we can see here, he's landing additional troops in this illegally taken territory of Naples. So I don't know what's going on over there. I'm going to reach out to them a little later and just say, so one of the things when this attack was ongoing, Andre said, "We'll make everything right. We'll make everything right." Well, will you though? Because how can you make everything right? Because as soon as you capture the territory, the morale plummets, right? It goes way down. So even if we take it back, even if these guys were sleepwalking, right, command set while they were still awake and then they went to sleep, even if we take them back, we're never going to get the points back. But then just sort of the continued capture of lots of other stuff and then the fortification of this here is just baffling. So I don't know what's going to happen. Finally, there's been no effort whatsoever to take Vienna. So what this means to me is they're just going to let the clock run out. 16, they have 5 more days before day 21. 5 more days to just sit and wait and let our points count down. I can see here that it does look like Great Britain is moving around to take Constantinople, but nobody is moving to take Vienna. And that means, a lot of water getting out of the water. And we said part of the peace agreement was you can take Trieste on your way to Vienna. So this is just a sort of a colossal, weird, lame-ass gameplay from a really good team. We're not really sure what's going on. I mean, why didn't they just fight us to the end? We were putting up stiff resistance, but that was a real game. This kind of bullshit where they're literally going back on their word and capturing territories after a ceasefire, and then this kind of bullshit, this guy's been here for a day and a half now after the peace accord. He could have walked in and taken Vienna at any time. They're just clearly delaying. And so I think this is going to be sort of a wake-up call for us. If we make a peace accord, we need to be very clear, although we were very clear about this. Frankly, in the chat, we were extremely clear about it. Step by step kind of was like, hey, we need to make sure that you only take our capitals. Please take our caps only. And then I even laid out in Austria the way it was going to have to go down because of all that. So, I mean, this is us going back and forth with them, and we're kind of talking about it, like what's going on here. This is screen caps here of after the ceasefire. What's going on here? Why? You can see down here, Florence and Bologna used to belong to us, and as you just saw now, no longer do because of just extended attack after the ceasefire. So we called the mod, and he says he doesn't step into treaties. And then Andres came in and he said, right here, if any unagreed location is taken, we will leave for them to resume. So we will, make everything, there's no bad faith. The agreement will be maintained. So that's, that was the last we heard from them. And then after that statement, they went ahead and took 2 additional territories here and appear to be fortifying this illegally taken territory. So, I mean, what Wolf Homie said is that there's nothing that he will do as a mod to prevent it. But I will say straight up, we will talk about it with people that we meet in the tournament. And that's, we've talked about that as well, is like reputation matters. If you're known to be that kind of team that just sort of, what I don't understand is like they were winning, and so they'll probably, I'll be honest, they'll probably end up with more points if they let the clock run out. Now that they've easily taken my capital, they were going to take France's capital, but Italy would have held off a lot longer. He was doing really well with the defense here. By this point, they might have taken Reggio here, because they were moving up with ship support one territory at a time, and Raya was doing an excellent job of defending. They certainly would probably not have Brindisi, but anyway, so it's a funny thing. Now they have 3 of our capitals, and now our morale is just crap. I mean, there's just no getting around that. Obviously, our morale is going to sink. You can see it sinking every turn now. Already, just one of my normal territories that, a day and a half ago was at 85 is now down to 49. So those are all just points that are slipping through the hourglass as time goes on. And again, sort of the bad faith of a guy sitting here who by now could have already gotten and taken the Vienna capital. But here's the thing. It really wouldn't matter, because the game isn't over until they take this territory, Constantinople. So the matter of going around, it would still take time. But I will say this Great Britain troop came from way back here. Again, this Moroccan troop with any cooperation towards the what our eventual agreement was, could have already been most of the way to Constantinople. Again, we're talking like 2 days now since I guess maybe a day and a half since, no, it was about 24 hours. So one day since our peace accord was struck. So it's just very disappointing to see this. It's like, and again, this is educational for us too. We need to be very specific. One of the things we need to be specific about is that that we could have done better is that they need to poise people outside of our capital and then take them all within the same hour. Just have them ready and then have them take within the same hour, because we didn't anticipate this sort of shuffling of their feet, slow motion capture of the last two capitals as our morale plummets. And, I don't know how many of my territories might rebel now. As if they take another couple days, my morale is plummeting fast. No capital 40, at war with 4 countries 20. So it's a weird, bad situation. And I'll just go ahead and say this out loud. For a really good team, this is kind of shitty, backhanded play, like unnecessary. The thing is, like, if you're weak or unskilled, I get it, where you might kind of stoop to trickery because that's the only thing you've got. But knowing that they are skilled and experienced players, and then seeing them stoop to just outright breaking of the treaty down here with these 3 territories, and then this guy just refusing to move and take Vienna, and others that were in the region just sitting here not moving towards Constantinople. It is baffling, and we'll see what we end up with by the end of the game. Like I said, we dropped 100 points. Tomorrow we'll probably drop another 100 points or more. Since morale continues to plummet, we'll probably start to have territories rebelling away from us. It's it's a disappointing end to a long, exciting game. So we'll see what happens moving forward. At this point, I do have great news to share with everybody, and that is that it looks like Papa Smitty is going to take part in our next game. So that game, of course, is going to start December 1st. This is our log of us moving through these games. So next up is December 1st. So stay tuned. I may not be in that game. I may take a break on that game. And if so, I'm going to ask Raya Force if he wouldn't mind maybe every other day doing a cast so that we can keep our eyes on this tournament moving forward. There's really no other way for me to cast this game. All right. Well, thanks for checking in, guys. Sorry about this sort of, I don't know, anticlimax. Like I either saw us just like going down in flames, holding until the last, trench is overrun, or sort of an honorable passing of swords and you guys win and respect all around, which was kind of the way it was going at first. But now instead we sort of have this weird mix of like, we honorably surrender and then they weirdly continue to attack for, 15 hours after the peace accord was assigned until they take over all of Italy. And here's another thing. Here's the thing that we've kind of talked about is that this is Morocco. Morocco down here didn't have to do shit all game long. Morocco didn't do anything, was never seriously threatened. We sent some water scouts down to here to kind of mess around, and he loaded up his border with way too many people. He never really sent much stuff up into Spain to help Spain. And so I got the impression this was their noob player here. Yeah, level 5. So that kind of explains maybe why the butthurt sort of, attack after the ceasefire thing is happening here. But I really do hope Andre gets his player under control. Although at this point, there's nothing much that's going to heal what's happened. He's already knocked down these 3 territories down to 25%. If by chance this one guy can come and recapture these 3 territories before the end of the game, I don't see that happening either, by the way. I just don't see how Andres can honor his word. And I think we can pretty much look at one commando, CB, here as being the most egregious offender here. He's not only the person who illegally took 3 territories, but he's also the person who made no move to capture. He was the closest to capturing these 2 territories and made no move to do that at all. So what a disappointing end to an exciting game. I really wish it could have ended with high honor, as it sort of seemed like it was going to, but not to be the case, folks. Well, you know what? The bad taste in our mouth can be washed out by a victory in the second round. So that's our goal. We're going to see if we can't just knock out this second round and win. And I think that's what's going to happen. So thanks for checking in, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Adios, amigos.